Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 5 comic books of the week. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 5 favorite comic books of the week. Not a spec list, just a list out of everything that released new comic book wise this week. These are my top 5 favorites. Let's get right into it. At number 5, Little Monsters #1 from Image Comics. Written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Dustin Nguyen, lettering and design by Steve Wands. Little Monsters was a pretty decent debut issue from Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. They've recently just wrapped up their run on Descender and Ascender, and of course on Robin and Batman. And I really liked this book. It's a bit light on story, but very heavy on the artwork. I absolutely love the artwork. Dustin Nguyen's taking a different approach. He's not using watercolors. He's not going for that ethereal watercolor style like he did in Descender or Robin and Batman, but instead he's using a lot of screen tone to almost mimic like a manga-esque approach to screen tone, and it's absolutely fantastic. It helps accentuate this grayscale in this black and white world. Really fantastic stuff, just a little bit of nuance of color, and it makes it pop. This story is about kid vampires. They're vampires, they've been alive for decades, however, they're still children, right? And they somehow are left on their own in this like abandoned post-apocalyptic town or something like that, so it's a little bit kind of like Lord of the Flies with vampires, but all you really get in this first issue is just the briefest of setups and a very fantastic introduction to each character. Each character speaks and acts different. They have their own personalities. That's already coming across in a first issue. That's a pretty breezy read, but you could really linger on some of that artwork, especially the grayscale that he's using, in particular in the backgrounds. Little Monsters, not the most solid book this week, but a fantastic debut from a trusted creative team. At number 4, The Kill Lock, The Artisan Wraith from IDW Publishing. Written and illustrated by Livio Ramondelli with lettering by Sean Lee. This is the follow-up to the original Kill Lock miniseries by Ramondelli, and I absolutely loved that book. It was something I was getting into, then I jumped out, but then Bullseye Bob, Bueller, and Dylan himself, that SOB, decided they really needed to encourage me to get back in that book, and I'm glad I did because I loved it. It was a sci-fi tale about robots with a lot of humanity, with a lot of heart to it, right? Well, now we have a second series based in this world, and it does pick up from some of the things left dangling from the original Kill Lock miniseries, but it sets up new characters, a new quest, if you will, a new journey, a new narrative, and it does it in a very fascinating way. I love the artwork. Ramondelli does a fantastic job of building out these worlds through the writing, through the artwork, a great concept. But like I said, even though it's a story that's well thought up, right? It's an incredibly well thought out story with all these like robot societies. There's different levels of class, different jobs, different status symbols and things like that. But the Kill Lock, if you're a criminal, for instance, instead of putting robots to death, they take 4 robots and they put a Kill Lock on them so that if one of them dies, then they all die. So they all, in the first series, had to kind of learn to protect each other. And from the remnants of that, a new team of robot assassins are sent after this entity. Really fantastic stuff. Even if you haven't picked up the original series, I would encourage you to check it out, but I would highly encourage you to check out that original series first. It was amazing. This looks to be a pretty solid follow-up. At number 3, Punisher #1 from Marvel Comics. Written by Jason Aaron with artwork by Jesus Saez, Paul Azaceta, coloring by Dave Stewart, lettering by Corey Petit. Y'all, I was super impressed with this Punisher book. I wasn't really looking forward to it. This whole idea of the Punisher aligning himself with the Hand, having a new symbol, it just didn't seem like it was going to be good, right? At all. Didn't seem like it was going to be good in concept or the reasonings behind certain aesthetic changes in the Punisher. Just didn't seem like it was going to be much. This book blew me away. I really like this book. First of all, the reasoning for Frank Castle to be involved with the Hand, 100% totally believable in this book. The artwork by Jesus Saez, and he's aided by Paul Azaceta in certain scenes, but it's mostly the book by Jesus. Artwork is amazing. That coloring's really interesting. Seeing that it's Dave Stewart, it's a different approach. Not necessarily through color theory, but through the executions and renderings of those colors. Now, I'm sure that Jesus's artwork has a lot to do with that. I thought it was a clean book artistically. I thought the story made a lot of sense. I was really excited about this book. It's got me pumped to see what's going to happen. This book doesn't hold things back. Frank Castle is still Frank Castle. Now, Jason Aaron has done amazing work with this character already. Punisher Max, for example, that was a fantastic run. One of my favorite Punisher moments in Punisher history is in that series, and that's the moment when Frank's in prison and he's like, all of his bones are broken, he's laying in a hospital bed, and these prisoners break in, they find a way into there, and they're gonna kill him, and they psych themselves out of it because it just seems like it's too easy, and they start getting scared, and they start psyching themselves out, right? Really great stuff. So Jason Aaron has a hold on this character. I like the emotional appeal and weight to this. Punisher stories that get too emotional can be very melodramatic and fall very flat. This one doesn't. It's got the Frank Castle story. It's got an exciting lead in with the Hand and how that all winds up being involved in Frank Castle's life. And it's got amazing artwork that was beautifully rendered through the color and through the line work. Super solid book. Very impressed. At number 2, King of Spies, issue number 4. From Image Comics. Written by Mark Millar, with artwork by Matteo Scalera, coloring by Giovanna Nero, lettering by Clem Robbins. King of Spies has been an absolutely amazing book. It's been my favorite Mark Millar work since Huck. Sometimes his work falls a little bit flat to me recently. I know a lot of people in the comments have been really encouraging me to jump back into Magic Order, and I probably will, because Mark Millar still has it, and he displays that here in King of Spies. The basic story is this: what if James Bond, at 60 years of age, found out he had a brain tumor, had 6 months left to live, and decided to spend his last days on Earth avenging all the evil mess in the world, like absolutely going after kings, queens, politicians, popes, religious figures, all these corrupt individuals in society. He knows who the real bad guys are. He just starts taking them out. But of course, the government's not going to allow that to continue. So this, even though it's just been 4 issues, has been expertly paced in a very boisterous, flamboyant, and fun kind of way. And not to really be that guy, but this would make a hell of a movie. And it needs to be Timothy Dalton. Let's give him that third quote-unquote Bond film to round out that quote-unquote trilogy. The artwork by Matteo Scalera, magnificent, magnificent. This dude, his art just keeps evolving. It keeps getting better and better. His use of depth with like gray tones and shading, the way he composes a page is amazing. It's dynamic and it's explosive, but at the same time it's subtle and emotive. And this story has been filled with emotion. You think it could just be filled with cute little one-liners, little jibs, little things, edgy things here, an edgy thing there, a dash of some kind of pathos at some point, but definitely stretched way too thin. That's not what this book is at all. It's incredibly well done, from the story to the characters to the action to the rendering, the artwork, the coloring. Everything about this pops, it sizzles, it bangs. It's $5.99. It's the final issue, so even though it's 4, it feels weighty for an ending. It was absolutely amazing. This book was fantastic. And at number 1, Red Room, Trigger Warnings, number 1, from Fantagraphics Books, and written, illustrated, and lettered by Ed Piskor. If anybody knows me, they know I love horror films. They know I love horror fiction. And I even like the subgenre known as torture porn. And this book is not going to be for everybody. But if you're into violent, bloody, gory, gnarly, meticulously crafted horror, comics, and fiction, you have to be reading Red Room. To me, it's one of the best books on shelves, one of my favorites of last year. I've heard criticism that it doesn't have anything except for shock's sake, that it doesn't have anything redeemable about its story or any of its character, because it is about people that commit murder on the dark web for fun and profit. And they make a lot of mad bank. But it's actually, I think, revealing something ultra seedy that's inside of almost all of us. This voyeuristic kind of approach we have to violence, especially when it's perpetrated on other people. The way that we make it through life, through our fantasies of what we wish we could get away with, and how that can slide us into further depths of despair and depravity, right? Maybe that's selling it too deep, but I think that's all there. Plus, to me, on a level of craft, technique, and innovation, it's top notch. Every single issue is self-contained. It all works as a puzzle piece in the larger narrative, though. But what Ed's able to do through the storytelling, through his craft, is amazing to me. Each issue, like I said, self-contained, but each issue different, trying to do and accomplish something different through the craft, through the experience. This is one of the best values in comics on shelves, $3.99. It's always extra size. It's always got lots of supplemental material, and it's absolutely lovingly put together. This book's amazing. This one's got 3 different stories going across, 3 tiers going across each and every page, 3 different perspectives, different artistic approaches taken to all of them. On the more human, detached from the Red Room stuff, we get a little bit of color for the first time in the series. Then in the Red Room video, in the middle of the page, we get this awesome version of like duo shade that Piscor's been able to kind of come together. He got some old stuff, scanned it in, and he's been using it. And then on the bottom, where we're getting fully into the Red Room, and those who actually come up with these ideas and do these actions, you're using some really interesting screen tone, right? I love it. 3 different artistic visions, all on the same page, telling one cohesive narrative and an exciting story that I never know where it's going to go. And yes, violent. You see the body rent asunder. It is in your face. It is not for the faint of heart, 100%. But to me, I love the boldness. I love the daring nature of it. And I really applaud the craft and technique applied for this book. So there you go. That's my top 5 favorite comic books of this week. Some surprises, some obvious ones. What are you reading? What are you digging? What are your top 5 favorite comic books of the week? Let's keep this conversation going in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast merch and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Pop, pop, boom.